Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now September 8th of 2023, and given that we have a lot of things to discuss revolving around Snow White 2024, and the problems that Disney are even facing right now on a more serious level, all due in part to Bob Iger and the Disney board, and specifically how they want to really craft this movie to the general public. There's a lot of problems arising out of this production, and I've always said this before, that Snow White 2024 could very well be an ironic release for Disney, where everything started with Snow White for them, for movies, at least in the animated sense, and it could very well end for them in 2024 in the live-action sense. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into the subject, shall we? Now, we know that there's a lot of things right now happening between Iger and the board on figuring out what in the world to do with Snow White 2024, and there's a lot of issues coming out of the marketing of this film, and exactly the re-edits of Snow White, and what's really coming out of the latest emergency meeting to really keep things afloat for this movie. Now, we already know that they are fully aware that Snow White is going to get a lot of backlash no matter what they do. They seem to be in survival mode, where they are trying to do whatever they can to salvage this movie, whether it be re-edits or reshoots, which they can't do anyway because of the strikes, or really refining their marketing attempt for Snow White. However, it gets a lot worse than that, and there's a lot of developments coming out of this film that really spells doom for Disney and this entire film from start to finish. Let's discuss. Now, with Snow White 24 going through serious difficulties for post-production as of late during the re-edits, one major development has much to do with Snow White and Disney's recent emergency meeting related to the film. As of late, Bob Iger and the board have been discussing last-minute decisions on the marketing of Snow White, and that the majority of board members are pushing for delaying the trailer quite significantly past the D23 event, which kickstarts on September 9th to the 10th for the major announcements at least. Disney is now reportedly pulling out the main trailer for Snow White as they want to fix the marketing plan for the film, as they have been getting less confident about showing specific shots for the movie. Now, though Disney is now pulling the main trailer from D23, some board members have been discussing the plan to show a sizzle reel of footage, such as Snow White dropping the apple, and the apple hitting the floor is one shot that they are debating on showing to the public. The difficulties out of this is that Disney has been trying to cut back away from as much source material as possible, and are trying to rid of many scenes involving the 7 magical creatures. Now, let me just pause here, guys, for 1 second, because there's a lot more to discuss beyond what they're doing with the trailer, alright? And it does involve the actors of the magical creatures. We'll get to that in just a second. But this right here, it goes to show you that Disney is getting wet feet, and they feel that they are not ready. Now, D23, the main part of it, kickstarts tomorrow and the 10th, so stay tuned here, or, stay tuned over at Disney if you want to see all the announcements that they will be making. It's not going to be quite as much as last year, if not even near as close, actually, because of all the strikes. But we know that they are panicking. They are in full panic mode. They have no idea how to handle this film, nor do they have any clue how to market this movie and how to really get it out there. Now, we went over some of the footage descriptions that they are really debating on whether or not they want to show. That sequence of Snow White dropping the apple and the apple hitting the floor. And we talked about how in the movie, one of the cuts, the current cut of Snow White, involves a reimagining of the apple scene, where she doesn't go into that deep sleep per se, but she gets weakened by the apple. Very drastically weakened by the apple, to the point where she loses her strength, she can't handle herself, and that's going to basically be at the middle point of the film, where she begins to really try to find her way to rising to become a leader again. Now again, we know that this film is going to be garbage regardless of what they do. It doesn't matter what kind of re-edits they pursue or what kind of reshoots that they actually obtain, which I don't believe they'll get to that point because of the strikes. Most likely lasting well into 2024, mind you, easily. Now, what's even all the more revealing has a lot to do with the actors of the 7 magical creatures who are also known as the 7 dwarfs that are not really dwarfs. Alright, let's just be clear about that. However, the plan right now is for the main trailer to debut more toward the holiday season as they fix the footage and move through with the re-edits of the film. Additionally, this emergency meeting also involved plans by the board to completely restructure the marketing team again to ensure that Snow White will be properly promoted. This would involve redoing elements of the main trailer of Snow White, where additionally they are also canceling the actors of the 7 dwarfs to promote this film on late night television for the future, once the SAG strike and the WGA strike comes to a close. They are no longer allowed as previously planned to appear on such shows like Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon, and Disney is restricting all of that. So again, another big revision by Disney is that initially they wanted those 7 unknown actors / actresses, because we have mixed genders, yes we do. They wanted them on Fallon, they wanted them on Kimmel, you know, they wanted them on late night to kind of get their names out there, get their images out there, what the show, what the movie is all about, and why there's a retelling of the 7 dwarfs. Originally, Disney wanted to make this openly clear, to kind of make the general public understand, but since those leaked photographs really wreaked havoc on the mainstream media and it really got out there to everybody, that's why Disney's pulling out, and that's why they are no longer allowing these unknown actors to appear on late night television. Now, to be very clear again, they can't do it right now anyway, but once the SAG strike and the WGA strike comes to an end, that's when they will, if they are lucky enough before release, that's when they will begin to do late night television promotional work. Except now, the 7 actors are not allowed to do any part in that. And that goes to show you how afraid Disney really is, and how really panicky they really are over this movie of showing what the 7 dwarfs are going to look like. We all saw the backlash from one simple photographs. That only gives you a glimpse of the pushback from fans, of the pushback from the general public that want nothing to do with Disney's take on Snow White, on all of these, you know, woke agendas spilling into movies like this that are going to continue to spill into live-action remakes and reboots, such as Sword in the Stone, Lilo and Stitch. Let's not even forget about Hercules. You know, don't even get me started on that. There's a lot to talk about that movie later in the week, so stay tuned here as well. But what's interesting about this is the fact that they are going the extra length to make sure that these 7 actors do not make themselves, you know, known to the general public, and that they don't set themselves as an example of that leaked photograph actually being real to people that may still very well doubt that leaked photograph and its authenticity. So anyway, I would like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.
From night to moon we hear them moans again.